Welcome to Custom Homebuilders Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software designed specifically for the professional home builder. Since CHS, or Custom Homebuilder Solutions, is a full accounting program, it is of course very important that we maybe do some audit records when somebody changes a record, changes a vendor, changes something on the chart of accounts, and makes various changes, deletes certain records, edits them. And it's really important that we capture a copy of that particular record maybe before they make the change, and that we stick it in something called an audit table. And so of course CHS does that. If you look down here under miscellaneous utilities, you're going to see something called the full audit database. And then it's going to open the database of all the records that you have in your audit table. It only loads 100 at a time, so you might have to scroll down if you were wanting for some reason to look at all of these. But what I'm mostly going to talk about in here is how you can search for certain things that people have audited, in case you're interested in that. So usually you're searching for something in particular, so you use the search button and you're wondering about an audit or something that happened to a certain type of thing or certain types of action. So maybe you're interested in something that was related to any audits that were related to this ABC Foundation vendor, or if you hold down your control key, you can ask for another vendor. I'm always doing these two, ABC and Big Buck. So now both of those are highlighted, and I'm going to get audit records, anything to do pretty much with those two vendors. So I'll submit the search, and you'll see that there's an audit type. This says vendor audit. This means on the vendor setup screen, edits were made, and this is capturing some of the information, but not a whole lot about the vendor, because we just can't have that many fields. But it's just to let you know that this person, Carol King, which is me, that's the only user that keeps it. You'll see the username, and you'll see the date they made that change. Here's one where they confirmed deleting and uploaded some uploaded file related to that vendor, Big Buck. Here's where they created a new PO, and it's just recording the information, and that's a PO audit. Vendor bills, things about the vendor bills, deleted an unpaid payables entry, but you'll see how the amount of it is stored, what the various things about it, description about it, that kind of thing, before the deletion. So you'll see there's all kinds of auditing. Let me do another type of search, and when you're doing a search, you should clear the search fields. And you notice that I was mentioning it's certain types of audit records, like vendor audit, PO audit. So if you're only interested in stuff that was happening, you can do the type, and you can just type vendor. You want to know anything about vendors. And it said you could type partial, so you don't have to actually just know the type. So now I'm just seeing vendor audits and vendor bill audits for vendor bills, because those are the only ones that use vendor in the type. If I do a search and I just put maybe just PO and see what happens, you're going to see we're seeing all sorts of PO audits and things going on with the PO. But one of the most interesting searches is if you're really watching what users are doing and you just want to know what they've changed or what they've done, is there is an audit date like that I posted to, and let's say I just want to know everything that's been audited maybe since August 1st, 2019. I don't know if I've done very many in here, but we'll see. I probably did. You do not have to put in a to date. Maybe I'm wanting to look back at all of August, but I could also put a to date in here if I want to narrow it down to a certain audit date. And I'm just wanting to just scroll through and review who got on and made changes and who did stuff. I was demonstrating cost types, so I got a whole lot of cost type audits while I was doing that. And it tells you here pretty much what the user did, what this audit record is about, that kind of thing. So it can give you some pretty good information if you're wondering. You say, well, this is on this report, or I think there's something, I don't know if there's something about checks. Let me see. No, I think that's in the vendor one. I think I saw that. It has to do with vendors. When you print checks, if you go ahead and print them and you never post them as paid, on the button that says post as paid, I think I need to clear out some fields in my search here. Clear search fields. Oh, I limited to a date there. So, I think I can find one if I just do vendor. I think I saw that earlier. Here it is. So this has the vendor AT&T. It was part of a check run, obviously, because this says user clicked no for posting entry as paid after clicking to post or print checks. So sometimes we had to go look here because people say, well, I have this check in my hand that I printed, but it's not posted in CHS. And then we will go to the audit table and say, well, after you printed it, this user clicked no not to post those checks. So of course CHS doesn't have it posted as a check, but it tells you which check. So it's various things that we can use when somebody calls and says, well, this record used to be on this report and now it's not. We can go to the audit table and say, well, so-and-so deleted it, that type of thing. The only other thing I'd like to point out, on that search window that I kept opening for the audit database, we do have under setup and help, general usage tips, there's another video about search lists and result reports, and then this video I'm doing about audit is going to be right underneath here. But you can learn more about using those various search fields and how to use them when you're looking for an audit. What I'd like to point out is, let's go to all payables records and all payables transactions and use the min-max dates. I'm just going to make it so it'll open faster, so I'll just select some vendor. I just want to look at a button on that window. And on a whole lot of the windows, you're going to see a button called Vendor Bills Audit. The button will say other. It might just say audit, but it relates to what you're in. Like we just opened a list of all vendor bills. So what it did was just go search for all the ones that have an audit type of vendor bill. This is the exact same window, but it's pre-filtered to vendor bill here so that you can get some audits and then use your search feature to get it narrowed down. You'll see that audit button on a whole lot of, like here it is again, vendor bills audit on the menu. So you'll see that audit button all over the place. And I think that probably gives you a pretty good idea about how you can study who's made certain changes. I'll mention one other thing. I'm going to go to accounting for a second, and I'm going to go to the general ledgers. It has a little bit to do with auditing, but let's just do the 1430 GL account and open the big accounting database. This is different than the vendor transactions. This is all transactions, but I filtered it down to one particular GL. But if you scroll way to the right on here, you're going to see date created, date changed, and created by. So you can do a search when you're searching that for created, the date created, and created by. If you're wanting to see all the records created by some particular user, all the accounting records, you should go to the big accounting transactions database and search for who it was created by, if you're wanting to monitor that kind of thing too in your accounting. So I think that's all I have to say about auditing and sort of monitoring what users are doing and looking at audit records. And thank you very much for watching.